All right, so this is the latest installment of our webinar series. This is number 3 and the third one that we've done this year. Today we are talking about the WakeSurf Shaper, and with us we've got Grant from Ronix on screen, and also Nathan, who is the inventor. Yep, say hi guys.
How are you?
Hello.
Awesome. So super excited to have both of you guys here. I think this is going to be really insightful to kind of get the full picture of, of how the product came to be and where it's at right now, where it's going. But before we dig into that, I do want to just kind of recap. I think pretty much everybody that we have that's watching the webinar today is probably aware of what this is, but just in case, I want to start with kind of state of the industry prior to the advent of the WakeSurf Shaper and where things were at. And internally, we talk about this really kind of on the same scale as if you stay within the water sports industry, like maybe the wakeboard tower for wakeboarding or speed control, which were totally transformative products and changed the way that we use our boats. Outside the industry, one of the things that our customer service people talk a lot about is if you're into mountain biking, it's like disc brakes on mountain bikes, right? Where you go mountain biking now, everybody has disc brakes effectively, and that's really kind of where we're at. So prior to the WakeSurf Shaper, we talked to a lot of customers that are still on this boat, weighting the boat asymmetrically, listing it over on the side to get both the size and the shape out of the wave. That's kind of how things were done, and then now we're in this new phase, this new era, which is really cool. So, I guess that's kind of sets the stage for the conversation. But I wondered, with that in mind, Nathan, maybe you could give us some insights into the genesis of this product, where it came from, where the idea came about, kind of just fill us in on the backstory, I guess, because a lot of people know what it is and they're used to it, but they don't know kind of, what went into making it happen.
Well, it just started with an idea, watching people listing their boat and me listing my boat and moving ballast around. I just watched when you listed your boat, how the water was leaving or exiting the back of the boat, and I saw that we could do that in a more effective way. And so I just started playing with different shapes and ended up with the surf shaper. Basically, it had to do a little refining, but once we figured out how to position the boat correctly, it was on that.
And so I'm asking these questions because I don't actually know. How many different versions or shapes did you have? Did you end up with this pretty quickly, or was there a lot of different iterations? Or
well, I knew what shape I needed to have, or I knew what I needed to do with the water, and right. So that shape was just was the most effective shape from the beginning. I did play with angles and how far away from the boat, so we did have some different models for sure. But we pretty much stayed with the same shape. I knew that I want to displace a lot of water, so I needed to make it as big and bulbous as I could, but without overwhelming the control of the boat and losing the control of the boat. So
sure, and that's insightful, because that's a question I think a lot of our customers have is, how does this impact the boat? Is it really hard to drive? Does it really impact the handling of the boat, especially at slower speeds, is typically the primary concern. Obviously, the answer is no, but I don't know if you want to expand on that a little bit.
Well, it acts like an additional rudder. So basically, you compensate it at surfing speeds. It's easier to compensate at that speed with your steering wheel and the boat. But when you're turning, people should know that the radius is different when you turn from left or right. When you're turning, if it's on your left side or your port side, you want to turn that direction because it's a sharper radius. If you try to turn to the right, it's going to make your radius larger and longer. So really, that's really only how it affects your boat as far as handling or maneuvering, is just pretty much how it turns the boat.
Sure. Cool. Well, it's good to get that insight into kind of the behind the scenes of where the product came from. And like I said, most people have experience with it walking into a boat dealership, or obviously our customers buying from us, maybe talking with us over the phone, but they don't kind of get the background of where it came from and how it came to be. So I appreciate it. So Grant, I'm going to shift gears here, and weigh in a little bit. So I guess, you guys saw this idea, saw the product that Nathan had, obviously recognized the potential for it. What was it like for you guys to go from there to an actual commercial product that's available? What was that? Was that long cycle, short cycle? What were you focused on? What was the priority? How was that? I don't know. You guys work collaboratively with Nathan on that. How did that all unfold?
Well, once we established a relationship with Nathan, it was testing his product and making sure it was something that we saw value in, and we immediately saw value in Nathan's product. And we just had to find a way to create a production process where we could manufacture a high quality product at a reasonable cost and not make it too extravagant to keep it in the marketplace, but then also make it in a way that was easy for people to install and apply to their boats.
Sure. So is that, the Velcro Solution 9 system, was that totally you guys to try and solve that problem, or?
No, there was a team effort there. Nathan, I think, originally started with the Velcro use on his original idea. We just simply found different materials, different Velcros. We are using a military grade hook and loop rather than Velcro, just to give us better attachment to the boat so that we have less interference or fall off while.
And I think that's one thing that, I wanted to address, just kind of like head on. A lot of people are leery, I guess, of putting hook and loop product on the side of their boat. They're not into that or whatever. Our experience has been that it's actually great because it makes it really easy to reposition the shaper in the exact same place every single time. And that's something that we have internally tested all of the quote unquote surf devices that are available. And that's something that we run into regularly, is that we got more repeatable, reliable performance because we're able to position the shaper in the same place every time.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's repeatable.
Exactly. It just takes that variable out of the equation.
Plus, the application range is so much greater. With the other models, you have to have this much flat face on the side of your boat, and then is it located in the right position, top to bottom, in the depth of the water? Are you blocking the right amount of water? And the nature of some of the other competitors is they release, where our product gets tighter and tighter as you maneuver through the water.
Sure, totally. Yep.
The biggest complaint that I run into is from a cosmetic nature. It messes with the gel lines of my boat, or I don't like the way it looks. I haven't seen a boat in the water where the WakeSurf Shaper Velcro is visible when the boat's in the water. 9 times out of 10, and I'm not saying it's impossible, but just about every instance I've seen, the Velcro is submerged when the boat's in the water.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's been our experience too, certainly. So, I think that's, a concern that people have, but maybe unwarranted, in reality. So,
absolutely, everyone wants a good-looking boat.
Cool. So, I guess if we can, let's kind of shift gears, because a lot of people that are watching today are interested in getting one for their boat. They don't have one yet. And I think that is a natural segue to differences for 2017, and the changes that occurred, obviously, getting people up to speed. This year for 2017, there are 2 versions. It's kind of hard to see in the frame that I'm in, but 2 versions of the Shaper. And so we've got the XL, and we can talk maybe a little bit about the applications for the XL version. I think that's been a common question that we've had. Even though you guys have done a good job and we've reinforced kind of, the 22-foot range is the cutoff somewhere in that area, we still are getting people saying, well, is bigger better? Do I want the larger one, even if I've got, a 20-foot Wakesetter DTX, or, a smaller direct drive or something like that? So maybe weigh in on a little bit what the thought is there, and is there a sweet spot?
Absolutely. While I believe, like a lot of your customers, bigger is better. If your boat can fit the extra large WakeSurf Shaper, there's absolutely no reason to not use it. In my experience, I've found that on smaller boats, let's say a 1995 Stars and Stripes or something like that, where the contouring in the hull becomes more more elaborate over a smaller space. The standard size Wakesurf Shaper just does a better job of fitting a smaller boat in that particular instance. But if you have the 19.5 inches of length, and if you have the 12.5 inches of height, it can make a clean attachment. There's no reason to not use the extra large shape.
Okay, I think that's super insightful, because that's a question that we get regularly, which says
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I've tested it on my 23-foot boat. I've put it on my buddy's 21.5-foot boat, and it makes a massive improvement on the smaller boats as well as on the bigger boats.
I guess in that same vein, one of the other questions we get is, I just bought a 2016 version, the standard size now. Is it worth it for me to upgrade? Am I going to get, what's the tangible difference that I'm going to see? And I know that's a hard one. I don't think we can point to some empirical, the wave is going to be 7 inches taller or something like that. But I don't know, maybe weigh in on that if you guys can, just in terms of what your thoughts or response to that question.
Absolutely. So being a sales rep for Ronix and 8.3, I wanted to make sure that I even noticed the difference between last year's version, the standard size of the current model, and then the extra large size. So I took all three out on my one boat in one day and messed around with all three models. I was very familiar with the way the standard operated all summer long. And then by upgrading to the new shape, I noticed more visibly a longer, cleaner wave was the most noticeable difference in going from standard size to standard size and changing the shape. But the extra large was the most apparent visual difference. The waves seemed to have more depth to it, like there was more mass behind the face of the wave, creating more push. The wave was also longer, and again, was it 7% longer? The number's hard to establish, but it was visually longer. But most notably, being a bigger guy, I could feel more push. And that was the part that really drove it home for me, is I felt my board was faster and had more response from a more substantial wave.
Nathan, have you been involved in the development of the 2017, the newer versions, or what's been the collaboration on that front? I'm just curious if you have any thoughts about the differences and what your experience has been.
Well, we talked about, when we started this, the scope of the product and the foreseeing, different shapes and what we planned on doing. And a concave model was definitely something that we were looking at. And I got to be in a little bit, as much as I could, and testing the new shape. So I definitely have some input, and we really came up with something that's a lot more streamlined and more efficient of what we created last year. So this year is definitely more streamlined.
And the concave face kind of lends to more efficiency in terms of the water flowing off the surface and how much water is actually manipulated. Right.
The concave actually, there's less disturbance in the water. The less disturbance means less air. The more we can push it out, the cleaner more efficiently we can do it. And when it meets the other wave, the more denseness we'll get out of that surf wave on the opposite side.
So it makes sense. You're going to see more push, obviously the larger one, but also with the improvements in the standard size too.
Right.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I'm going to have, I don't know if you guys want to weigh in or offer any other insights, something that I didn't cover. At this point, I'm going to have some of the other guys on our team send me some of these comments and questions that are coming in. If there's something that we need to read and review over.
Sure. One thing I do want to point out is we do offer a warranty. Ronix stands behind, 8.3 stands behind the products that we manufacture, and we are offering a warranty on the Wakesurf Shaper, whether it be something as trivial as maybe you had an improper Velcro installation or you didn't get your boat clean enough. For the first year, we're supplying Velcro for customers just to make sure that all of our consumers know that they're happy with the shaper. We just want to make sure that they're happy with.
I'm glad you brought that up. That's something that we, you know, obviously being on the retail side, we interface with customers regularly. You know, this is not specific to the WakeSurf Shaper, but across the board, Ronix and Eight.3 have always been phenomenal about dealing with warranty situations when they do arise. And so I think that's something that, you know, for a lot of customers, they're shopping around trying to decide, you know, which product is the right fit for them. That's something that's worthwhile to, you know, to keep in mind, because it's just nice to know that you have the company behind you and they're not going anywhere. Ronix has been around and you guys aren't going anywhere. So it's important to have the backing.
Absolutely.
And there's one thing I want to say as far as the installation of the surf shapers. There's no correct way to do it. If the engagement of the Velcro is 100%, if it sticks, it surfs. So there's lots of misconception of it's got to be perpendicular to the water and perpendicular to the boat. Basically, that's why we provide you with the shims. We give you extra Velcro. You have a lot of face on the side of that boat to manipulate that surf shaper, and you're going to still get that awesome premium wave. And
I'm glad you bring that in. That's one of the changes that was made. I'll see if I can spin this around and bring it in the shot. So if you do have experience with the original 2016 version, you'll remember that the Velcro strips were just across the top and bottom. This year, the whole face, effectively, except for the little warning label, which needs to be there, is covered in Velcro. So that opens up a lot of flexibility from the positions. One of the, yeah, and one of the things that we've seen also, I just know this comes up, if customers have had issues with the shaper coming off the side of the boat. One of the things that we found, I'm actually curious to get your guys' input on this, is if the shaper is rotated nose down just a little bit, so that when the bow of the boat comes up, this bottom surface isn't as exposed to as much water, that really, you know, effectively eliminates the problem in every case. So that's something to be aware of too. It doesn't take much, it's just a little bit of angle when you position the shaper on the side of the boat.
Correct.
Cool. So we do have some questions here. We've got the experts, so let's kind of get them to weigh in. Yeah, we kind of addressed this. Chad, I got a guy, Chad here saying that he's got a 2006 X-Star, and he's curious, is it worth it to upgrade to the XL this summer? I mean, I guess, you know, we already addressed that one, but maybe with
only if he wants a better way.
A better way, I mean, right? That's the whole point. So, yeah, Chad, that doesn't.
The one thing on that particular boat is without having that boat in front of me, I would measure the depth of the spray relief pocket to make sure the larger size fits accurately inside that spray pocket would be the only issue I could think of on that particular boat. But as long as it measures and fits, even if it hangs off a little bit on the bottom,
specific to the Generation 2 X-Star, the 2003 to 2012 model year boat, just because it does have such a large spray relief pocket. It's shiny right there. So, yep. Okay. So let's see. How, that kind of goes back then, you know, same question, different form. How small of a ski boat can I fit the XL Shaper on? I have an 89 ProStar 190. Last year's Shaper worked really well. Is it worth it for me to upgrade?
If it fits, I would say it's worth the upgrade. I mean, at the very least, try the new shape. Even if he's staying with the same size, the new shape is more effective at moving water.
So this is a question from Ron. Will there be a tool or an easy way to remove the shaper?
As of right now, we don't have anything easier than simply prying it off the side of the boat. I know that some people have had issues with releasing it from the boat. In my personal experience, I find that simply disengaging it, I use my foot a lot of times just to simply press the shaper off the side of the boat has never been an issue for me. Maybe, you know, when you're in the water, you can pull it down pretty easy would be the other way to do it. But just get creative. Maybe every boat's a little bit different. And, you know, if Ron could provide us with a little bit more information with what.
That's what I was just going to say. Yeah, you know, And
give us a better idea of what he's doing.
Questions. If we're not answering it, you want more, you can certainly contact our customer support team. Obviously, Ronix is available too.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is one I think is interesting. Not specific necessarily to Wakesurf Shaper, but how does this compare to traditional weighting, i.e. listing a boat over to one side? What will I like more about an even distribution of weight in my boat?
In my opinion, number one, safety. By weighting your boat even is much safer to drive your boat down the lake. You don't have to be mindful or as mindful of your boat's position in rough water or the direction to which you're turning. You also can have your passengers seated more comfortably around your boat because you don't have to keep them all listed on the one side of the boat. So your riders are more comfortable. But then it also simply makes the water, it makes the wave better. Your wave is longer and your wave is cleaner when you use our product. Our WakeSurf Shaper is simply moving more water in an efficient manner where traditional methods of listing
it's not very efficient.
The
Surf Shaper is very efficient in what it's doing. And with the Surf Shaper, compared to traditional listing, you maybe had a 2 or 3 foot sweet spot before, but with the Surf Shaper, you can almost just multiply it by 3. So you're going to get yourself out of the exhaust, the emissions, get further back, have a denser wave, and have your boat in a more natural position. So it's like comparing, it's like listing your boat was back in the caveman days.
On Ronix's YouTube channel, we have a video of a more current model ski boat doing before and after side by side of of the ski boat with just ballast alone and a ski boat with the WakeSurf Shaper. So it's easy to
the
view
one
on
thing
our
I would add that
YouTube
too,
channel.
for the people that are really into maximizing performance, what we find is that when we're able to evenly weight the boat, you get all the advantages that Grant maybe mentioned, but you also are able to effectively double the amount of weight that you can put in the boat weight on both sides. And so for the guy that really wants to get the best possible wave out of his boat, you can have more overall weight in the boat and not have bags sitting on the seats and on the floor and all over the place. So nice advantage for sure. Okay, so got Paul here who says 2008 Wakesetter, Malibu Wakesetter. Fortunately, Paul doesn't say which model he has, so obviously that's going to come into play a little bit. Can't buy between Ronix and Mission Delta. Mission's plate seems to go straight out, and the Ronix 8.3 is at a severe angle. What are the pros and cons of each? So getting kind of down in the trenches with another product, but I'm just curious kind of what your thoughts are in general.
Well, first of all, it's going to be the quality of the wave, the density of the wave. When you have a 90-degree object coming off the side of your boat, it's literally damming the water. First off, consuming more fuel, disturbing the water, and creating a huge turbulence. So when all that turbulent water meeting your other wave in the back ultimately reduces the effectiveness of what you're trying to do. So on some of these models, they visually change the appearance of the wave, but get out there and ride one, and if you had the Surf Shaper to put next to it, you're going to see the differences in the wave. Not how it will be aesthetically different, but you're going to feel it in the water.
I think that's
I did my homework. I actually borrowed one from a retailer, and I took one out for a side-by-side comparison. And the Delta made a good-looking wave, but I felt that our WakeSurf Shaper made a longer, more user-friendly, more range of surfing wave.
The magic solution that our customers are looking for. So many of our customers, I mean, we're obviously very embedded in the industry, all of us, here, but many of our customers, we have to remember they use their boat, a handful of times a summer because they're busy and they have stuff going on. So they're not on the water all the time, and they just want the easiest platform that they can get to have, that perfect surf experience, which means going ropeless and having fun. So that's the benefit for sure. Paul, obviously, if you have additional questions, then certainly reach out. We're happy to answer that some changes specific to the specific model of Wakesurf that you have. Okay, so let's see. I have a brand new 8.3 shaper in the box, never used. You know what? Looks like our team already answered that. So Steve, give us a call. Happy to take care of you. Love to get you hooked up. No problem at all. And we'll take care of you. So do all the new shapers come with extra Velcro on the shapers and in the box? I heard there was a Velcro chain. I know I'm saying Velcro, probably Grant, you prefer to hear it called loop, but the fastening system, maybe answer that, give some insight there.
Yep. So it's going to be, long story short, yes, the entire back of the Wakesurf Shaper will have nearly full complete Velcro. And then to make installation more convenient and have more offerings for consumers, we're also including additional Velcro in the box itself. So instead of getting 4 pieces like we were offering in the 2016 model, the 2017 models will both have 6 pieces of Velcro, so that you either have spares if you missed the handle, you know, got too much sticky finger residue on your Velcro before applying, or maybe you forgot to clean your boat well enough. Whatever the scenario, you get extra Velcro, maybe to
and we made them
enhance the connection, whatever the situation is.
Which that you know, flexibility of installation, being able to position the shaper in the right place on the side of the boat, and then do that with repeatability.
With Velcro, it's really important to know where your water line is when you're surfing. A lot of people see where their water line is when you're stationary, and the surf shaper needs to just be under the water when you're surfing, so it gives you a greater range of area to place your Velcro. So using that as your starting point, and then knowing it gives you more from front to back, gives you all that much more room to tune your wave to your boat condition, your hull condition, and your weight. Your ballast.
I'm glad you bring that up, Nathan. That's a common question. You know, a lot of people are confused about that. Do I put the Wakesurf Shaper at the water line without ballast in my boat, with ballast in my boat, when I'm running, you know, stationary? So obviously Nathan answered that. You know, it should be just out below the water line when you're running at speed, the way that you're going to use the boat for surfing, basically. Yeah.
Perfect.
Cool. So please answer this one. How does moving the shaper forward and back change wave shape? So that's kind of the first part of the question. Maybe let's take that one first, and then I can read the second part.
It's pretty simple. When the Wakesurf Shaper is mounted as back on the boat as possible, your wave is as tall and as steep as possible. Conversely, as you move the Wakesurf Shaper forward to the limits of the Velcro, your wave does have a little bit more length,
and
a little
so
longer
with that in
feature
mind,
rather than the height.
Positioning still though is, you know, start the Velcro basically as far back on the boat as you can get it. And go forward from there. Cool.
Yep.
Okay, so this is one interesting. So this is one from Ron, and I have my own. We got to say. My boat is a 2014 MB Sport Speed 52, 23-foot version. Even standing on it when it's in the water does not come loose easy. Love the wave, but very hard to get off. Used all summer. So presumably he has the 2016 version. This is something that we've heard of here a little bit. You know, in our experience, it has a lot to do with what the hull of the boat looks like in the location where the shaper is going to be installed. And, you know, is there concaveness or convexness, or is it perfectly flat? And when you get the Velcro, you know, a good interface between the two halves of the Velcro, obviously it's got a lot of holding power. I'm just curious, you know, would you recommend a customer reduce the amount of Velcro that they have on the side of the boat to try and limit the amount of force that they're getting to hold the shaper in place, or any thought, I guess, on how to solve Ron's problem for them?
Well, you can absolutely. We're giving you new pieces of Velcro now, or extra pieces. So when your boat surface is flat and you have that much engagement of your Velcro, it's absolutely going to be hard to get off. So you can move your spacing further apart, so you don't have 4 inches at the top and 4 inches of engagement of the Velcro. Or I've had a customer take, don't use a metal paint scraper, but take a plastic paint scraper, a real nice thin paint scraper, or a putty knife, and you can go along there real nice and release some of those hook and loop fasteners, and it's a lot easier to remove. When you're having a problem getting it off and you can't get it off, you can use something a plastic paint scraper works the best.
Sure. So you're basically deforming the hook side of the hook and loop fastener so that it's not going to engage. It's the soft side, basically.
Right. Just run it in between your boat and the surf shaper, and put pressure on it as you peel it off, and
Got it. Okay.
Emergency situation.
Right. I think that's it as far as questions go. So if there's any other questions, we can take those here real quick at the end. But otherwise, looks like we've addressed pretty much everything. Guys, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it, and I think this has been insightful for our customers that are interested in this product. Any parting words, I guess, before we end this one?
Number one, for those of you that have already purchased a WakeSurf Shaper, thank you very much for supporting our company and enjoying our products. Number one, we work hard to make a unique product to make everybody's day or hour or lunch break on the water as fun and enjoyable as possible. And if our WakeSurf Shaper made your summer better because you could surf 2 extra feet with your daughter in your arms, then I'm glad we were able to put more smiles on more faces. But thanks to everybody, and please have a chance to check out our new shape. The new WakeSurf Shaper does work.
Thanks to WakeMakers. Thanks to everybody for the opportunity. It's all about spending more time on the lake and quality time when you're out there. So thank you everybody for your support.
Hi. Yeah, I just echo that. I mean, we're fortunate to be involved in an industry where this is our profession and livelihood, but we talk about it a lot. Like our responsibility is serious because time on the water is limited for a lot of people. But how cool is it to be in an industry where we get to help people have fun? There's so much turmoil in the world, so much stuff going on. We don't need to get into it. It's just a really cool space to be in. So thank you very much, you guys. Really appreciate it. Anybody watching the webinar, or if you're watching this video later on, any other questions that we didn't address or answer, please feel free to get in touch with either our customer support team. You can email us support@wakemakers.com, or give us a call. Our toll-free number is 888-338-6085. And obviously, like Grant said, Ronix is available too if you have any questions for them. So thanks very much, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you. Surf's out.
Thanks, guys.